Hello painters, wanted to show you something from the last time that I painted WarCry. When I painted this guy, I believe it's WarCry 3 is the name of the video. I painted that chainmail that's right below his belt, and I used AK Interactive Copper. Awesome paint. Really was nice. First time I had to actually use that paint, I got all the colors, like a set of 6, I believe, or maybe 8. Really awesome, really nice. Turned out really nice. So the next video I make after I paint this one is where I prime the 3 of these guys. So here's the other 2. And once I get this guy painted, then I'll prime all 3 of them. So we are really blessed in the WarHammer YouTube community to have really, really fantastic artists. So I won't mention any of them right now because I want to make sure I don't forget anybody. I want to make an extensive list because I watch these artists every day paint, and I'm nowhere near anywhere in the scope of them. I've been painting probably about 6 months, maybe with acrylics, and maybe for a year before that, not all the time during that year, with oils, like Rust-Oleum in a can. So that was the extent of my technology for painting miniatures, albeit I didn't do any WarHammer or Age of Sigmar figures. I just painted figures from Arena of the Planeswalkers, Magic the Gathering, board game, and Dungeons and Dragons, Temple of Elemental Evil, and some of those for practice. I don't think they're quite as large. They may not be 28 millimeter. They're maybe 20 millimeter or 24 millimeter or 22 millimeter, if that's a size. I believe they're a little bit smaller, but I'm not sure about that at all. So the paints we're going to be using today is, now I have a plan, now that I know that there's chainmail, I'm going to use one of my favorite speed paints, Hoplite Gold. I'm going to use Nuclear Sunrise, and I'm going in the reverse order that I'm going to use them. I'm going to use Pallid Bone, and I'm going to use Holy White. So I'm pretty much working from light to dark now, is the way that I'm doing it, but I always end up going back, especially if I have paint on my hands. I always end up having to go back and touching up the white at the end, which is totally fine. That absolutely works, so we'll do that, right? Darn, I wanted to bring my Viejo surface primer so I could paint the bases right away in this same video. Sorry for not having that ready to go. So as I was saying, we are so blessed to have real artists in there. And what I noticed that I had never done is have my wet palette actually wet, like floating in water is what I've been noticing yesterday, that these artists have theirs. So that's what I'm going to do. I used to always paint with speed paints without a wet palette. I would do it on here, as you can see, actually the top of this more. But I've found that I get better coverage, and this is especially true now that they're older and more dried out, because I think some of the moisture actually escapes through these little plastic bottles anyways. Is I didn't have that good a coverage with the speed paints. And I'm thinking it's not the speed paint, but it's more me. So I am going to correct that by making sure that I have my paints thin enough so that they cover nicely. Albeit it takes more coats. do 50 shakes. And I also meant to use a little bit of the medium, but I forgot that, so. We'll have to do without it. I want to get it where it's thin enough, but it still keeps its color and doesn't break down. It's breaking down a little bit there. So I'm putting my wrist together. That's a really good trick. And hopefully you can see what I'm doing. This is my first time using my iPad to record, but hopefully it'll come out better resolution. Okay, there may be some noise now because my wife is coming home and she doesn't know I'm making a video. And she's going to be upset about this table being here because she wants to buy a table and I just want to see how it'll look with both tables because I don't actually want to get rid of the table we already have. So I'm kind of trying to plant the seed for that, so that's not going to go well at first. I think I'll actually stop the video now so that we can have that discussion because she's going to be unhappy if we can't have that discussion right away. She doesn't like anything to move. Although she is getting that table, so that's a new thing for her. All right, so, and it's good that I don't get too far into this anyways, to where I painted this whole figure without making a video of it, and then didn't know how the iPad was going to work out for the video. So I'll call it quits, and you can see me again in WarCry Painting 5. Thanks, painters.